The biggest battle we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will share concepts, universal laws, and interviewing individuals who have done just that, who have gone through the dark times and through those moments allowed their light to shine bright. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and taking this journey with me as we discover different avenues to break through those limits, expand your reality, and evolve into the person you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Vic, and you're listening to the Mindful Experiment. This is our weekly connection as we talk live here on our private Facebook group, Empowered Living with Dr. Vic. This is where you can come join me every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time as I go live and listen to real time. You can join me on the conversation. We can be a part of the podcast, ask questions at the moment with me while we're here. So excited to have you on. This week, we're going to talk all about the importance of when you make a change with yourself, when you work on you, the true inner self of you. Why is it that your external world kind of changes? Why does that happen, right? Have you ever had a moment in time where you didn't know why? You had a good friend and everything was working out so well. And then something just didn't go well, or there's just like this little tension, or there's just something there that's not vibing right. And you don't know what it is. And you keep fighting yourself on it. You try to have conversations with the person. Nothing's going well. And then you have either a big fight or you just don't start talking anymore. You don't talk anymore, right? I don't know if you've ever been there. I've been there multiple times. And it's one of those things that I always wanted to know why. Like, why does this happen? Why does it have to be that way? And, as time went on and as I got older and I learned about, how energies connect and synchronicities and, the law of when we're aligned together, you could say law of attraction, you can say how you manifest someone, but all these different things. I started to understand that when your vibrational frequency, when your consciousness, when the level of who you are shifts and changes, if people are not at that level with you, if they're not at that perspective of changing with you at that time or supporting you on where you want to go, and you supporting them, it's just going to break apart. It's not going to stick together. You're not going to gel, right? It's like when you start to really work on yourself and people go, wait a minute here. This is how you used to be, right? I don't like how you're making this change. What's happening, right? And they get this fear inside them because you're making a change. You ever been there? I have. And I've seen it in others. I've helped people through this process. And it's one of those things where you have to really get to a point to understand this basic concept that when you change, the people around you are going to change because it is all about the vibrations. It's all about the frequencies. How are you all gelling? There's gonna be people that are gonna come in and out of your life. And most of the time when you start to work on you, I don't know why this is, but it is what it is. Your closest friends and your families are to be the ones you have the most strife with. And the reason why, again, is because sometimes people put you in a box and you don't want to be put in a box. I have a personality. I never want to be limited. And I don't care who it is. I don't care how long I've had a relationship with anybody. If you put me in a box and limit me, we're done. Because for me, every day I work on myself. I try to grow at least 1% a day. I'm not saying I always hit that mark, but my goal is 1% a day of change. And so when I look at my life overall and I start to, when you make these types of changes, it's going to create and rattle the cage a little bit. And most of the time, it's your closest friends and family. You've changed. There's something different about you. I don't like this. These are some of the words that will be said. And the reason why is because, again, there's this thing called the lobster effect. Now, if you've never heard of what this lobster effect is, I was very fascinated by this when I first heard of it years and years ago. And what the lobster effect is if you had 3 lobsters in a tank, and the one of those lobsters says, F this life, I'm jumping out, y'all can stay here. It does all this work. It gets on the wall. It starts trying to climb up this glass wall, and it's barely getting some movement, right? As it continues to get up to the top, the other 2 lobsters go, oh, hell no, you ain't going nowhere. And they, for some reason, grab them and pull them back down. Why does that happen? I have no clue. This is nature, right? But it's a fascinating phenomenon. And I love learning about it because that's what happens to a lot of us when we make a change in our life. Sometimes we're afraid to make that change because it may harm or not harm, but change a relationship. It may change the way things are. We want to hold on to that relationship. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes relationships have to go, right? It's sometimes that they're just not serving the highest grade for you and for them. Now, notice a lot of people will say, oh, you made this change, so they're not serving you. That's why they're not there anymore. And I think that's a little narcissistic because you're making it all about you. I truly believe it's for the greater good of both, because if you can't help them and serve them, and they can't help you, and you're not going to help uplift each other, and it's not going to serve the greater good, it's not going to be there, right? Because think about it. If someone is not ready to make a change, but you're making that change, all they're going to do is they're going to keep seeing their wounds. They're going to keep seeing the things that they wish they could be doing, but they're not. This is jealousy in its truest form. Jealousy is just seeing in someone else what you should be doing that you can, but you're not doing it. So you become jealous of the person. And that's just, the form of that. So when you're starting to make these ripples and changes in your life, and you're maybe sitting there going, yeah, I want to do this in my life, or I want to become this person, or I want to work on X, Y, Z. But yet at the same time, you're like, man, but I don't want to lose this relationship. It's been becoming an issue. Or maybe it's a spouse, right? And they're saying, hey, I don't know what's going on with you, but I don't like the way you're changing. I don't like what's happening here. I've heard stories of those too. It comes a point where you have to stand in your power and work on you. And know that at times when you make these changes in your life, no matter what it is, like this is any change, guys. I'm keeping this very general. But if it's any change that you're working on yourself, sometimes it could be self-worth, right? You've let people push you around, walk all over you. How many times we let family do that? I was a people pleaser all my life. That was the thing that I had to do. I was trained and programmed that my word did not matter, because my word offended someone else, then I would have to keep my mouth shut, never make someone else upset. And for the longest time in my life, that's what I followed. Until one day I just didn't give a rat's ass anymore. And I literally would just share whatever came out. Didn't go well in the beginning. I'm a lot better at it now. But it's one of those things where, being in that state, then all of a sudden you just don't care. And all of a sudden you speak your mind. All of a sudden you stand up for what you're worth. You go after what you think you're worth and your value is. Some people are not going to like that because you're going to bring out their fears. Some people aren't going to like that because it's their belief systems that are going to try and hold you back. And that's the lobster effect. It happens in all arenas of life. Everyone does that to a certain degree. And what I have learned, and what I've learned throughout the process is that I can share with you in this episode, is that when it comes to these changes that you're going to make, first of all, we're designed to change. The only constant in all the universe is change. That's the only constant. Everything else is variables to the degree, but change is the only guaranteeing that happens. Change on your human body, change on the spiritual level of who you are, how you expand, evolve, and grow. It's a constant evolution, a constant transformation, right? So we're designed to, and I always say, I wrote this in my book, Rediscover Your Greatness. I talked about how if you are not changing like the soul of who you are, if you are not constantly being in a state of evolution, you're dying inside, because the soul is all about growth, evolution, expansion. It's all about discovering more about itself so it can expand and grow and evolve to what it desires to be. And so when you're looking at your life, understand that if people all of a sudden just go away, it's okay. Sometimes it's the universe getting people out of the way, opening the door for the people that you really want in your life. Now, here's one thing I wanted to share before we wind down here is one of the things I wanted to share with you guys about when it comes to, well, Doc, how do you know when, because I get this question a lot. How do you know when there's someone right in your life, a friend, a family member, a spouse, significant others? How do I know, let's say friends, for example, how do I know that they are good for me or good to have in my life? And I'll always say this is a principle I live by. When you hang out with someone, if you don't feel good after hanging out with them, and you see this in a continual pattern, get them out of your life. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just you're not feeling good within. So what happens is, from an energetic standpoint, from a standpoint of managing your energy, if you're always with this person, you hang out with them, and then you feel not great later down the road or after the day, you have to spend more energy bringing yourself back up, right? And that's less energy for creating. That's less energy for aligning yourself, what it is you desire. And now all of a sudden you're not having the proper energy of what you want to achieve in your life. If you take the time to say, you know what, I only want to be around people who I feel good with afterwards, or I appreciate them, I have a good time with them. And I mean, when I say good time, I don't mean just fun. I mean, there's actually a soul connection. You just feel grounded with the person. You feel good with that. When you leave that, you have actually more energy to align yourself. You have actually more energy to create and do whatever it is you desire. So that is the concept. And that's a rule I follow. And it's one of those things where if I don't feel a certain way, it's not like one time and done. But it's one of those things where you want to make sure you're guarding your energy at all times. And that's why when you shift your energy and you truly make a transformation at the energy level, the people around you will start to change. Most of the time, this happens. I do have some friends who have been making changes all their life, and they have kept their knit group of friends, which I think is fascinating. I get so excited about that when I see that at times. But most of the time, the people around you are going to change. And, it's one of those things. My father said this to me years ago as a kid. He always used to tell me this. He would look at his hand and would always say, if you can fill that hand up with good friends, consider yourself blessed. When he first told me this, I had about all hands and toes and all that. I was like, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. But as time's gone on and my 35 trips around the sun, one of the things I've learned is that he's right. I can't fill my hand up. And it's fascinating to know that what he said back then was true. Because through my evolutionary process, through my growth as being in this human experiment, right? And really just learning about myself and growing and expanding and trying to become the best person I could possibly be within a lifetime. It has transformed and changed so much. I've seen so many people go. But I've learned that the universe will always provide for me the greatest need of what it is I desire. So if people need to be moved out of the way so I can continue to move forward and help others as they help me, then so be it. So if you're in that place where you're sitting there, you're thinking, I don't know. This may be, I know I get that feeling all the time, because I can tell you, I put a post on Instagram. This would inspire me to do this one. I had so many people reach out about this, how they needed to hear that. How, oh my God, how do you handle that? And I was like, you know what? This is next week's podcast. So it's one of those things where if that's you, understand it's okay. It's tough. Sometimes standing your ground and letting some things go, letting people that you really care about, but it's just not gelling anymore, go. It's tough. Doesn't mean you have to never talk to them again, or, it's just you're taking them out of your circle. And I always remember this circle. This is something that really resonates with me. Meet the Fuckers. It's Robert De Niro in there. He talks about the circle of trust, right? And you got to either be in or out. Guard that circle with all your might. Don't let anybody just in there. That's the circle that you want to be, the solidness of your friends, your family, people that you choose to be with, that those are your ride or die. Those are the people that you'll be with no matter what. I have my circle, and man, I'll tell you, I'll take a bullet for all of them because they would do the same for me. And so it's one of those things that have their back. I know I sound like a Marine or something when I say that. Someone from the military. But it's true. They will have my back no matter what. If anything happened in my life, if I needed something, I can go to them and they would be there. Just like the opposite is true. If they needed anything, I'd be there. And at the same time, we uplift each other. We help each other grow. We help each other be the best version as we possibly can, as much as we possibly can. And that to me is a healthy, vibrant relationship because you're working with each other to help grow, expand, evolve. So understand that when you make changes within yourself, your energy field, and all that, things will change around you. Not only just people around you, circumstances, situations, and so much more. But it's always going to be for the better in the end. So just have faith in the universe, have trust in the universe, and know that it's always working for you every step of the way. That's all I got here, guys. If you've been on Facebook, if you've been live checking this all out, appreciate you tuning in. If you have not, but you're interested, please go to facebook.com and go to groups and look up Empowered Living with Dr. Vic. It's a private Facebook group. All you have to do is just request to be a part of it, and you'll be more than welcome to hop on. Join us every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time as we dive deep into different topics and concepts that come up that I like to share with you all. This gives you an opportunity to take part of it. Also, just all the listeners who are followers and subscribers to the podcast, I want to first thank you for continuing your support. We are going to be coming out with, so on my online classes, we have, I do a 5-week course about vision and all that, which we're launching in mid-September. But I am going to be giving away a free PDF on how to develop your vision. And it's like something really small. It's about 5 pages long. It really gets you into a thought process. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing that in the show notes. It should be released next week, and it'll be in the show notes from there on out. And you can definitely get it, download it, and really start to create some massive change in your life and so much more. I'm really excited for this. So we've been putting a lot of work into it, and now it's in the final stages, and we'll have it out within a week. So keep an eye out. As always, appreciate you being a part of the podcast. If you like the podcast, please go to iTunes and put share a little review. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you on the journey to rediscover who you really are. To connect with us on Facebook, please visit www.facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Check us out on Twitter. The handle is Dr. Vic21. Follow us on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. If you were inspired by the podcast, pay it forward by sharing it with someone who you know can benefit from it. Thank you again for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast, sharing paths to help you rediscover your infinite potential.